afternoon. This is about linear regression assignment. So the business problem at our hand was for this assignment was to identify important variables that affects price of car in American market as the China company called Geely Auto. They wanted to establish a production company in America. So they really wanted to understand that which variables in the car production procedure they affect car price more importantly. So the data set we had was around more than 200 observations with some 25 to 26 variables, which includes price also as a dependent variable. So while analyzing it, the data set was consisting of some qualitative variables which we need to convert it to quantitative variable uh, for, uh, for for analysis purpose. So as linear regression tells that the dependent variable should be quantitative in nature. So it was the data set we are having was perfectly suited to the linear regression, as there was one dependent variable and it was truly quantitative in nature. So the problem that when we are like when I was applying crisp dm methodology for it. So the first thing I did was data preparation. So data was having data was having some qualitative variables which I needed to convert into quantitative variables. And the first things first is I looked at NA variable, NA values, and some of the outliers in it, outliers, and removed NA values, and many more things like that in data preparation. After that, I converted those qualitative variables like company name, and the one more inconsistency that I found out was the company name, the column company name, which included company name and its car model also. So we needed to separate that column into two, so that the company name and the car model get separated, as we insisted uh, to only take a car name. So sorry, company of the car. So we needed to convert it into two column, so that car name and the model name get separated. And the usual data preparation stages like removal of outliers, removal of NA values, it was taken care of. And after that, uh, when it comes to model building, so here in regression assignment, and as a statistician, I know what problems that we should look at the data. So the problem of multicollinearity and homoscedasticity are the major one in regression, yeah, and all regression models. So the multicollinearity, multicollinearity is nothing but the auto correlation between independent variables. Instead of using two or more independent variables which are correlated between among themselves, we can use only one which is more relevant, more affecting towards the dependent variable, that can be taken care of multicollinearity. And the multicollinearity can be taken care of VIF function, variance inflation factor. So before that, we should what was my aim was to make the model very simpler. It should not be a over predictable one, and it should be very simpler that could everyone can understand it, and everyone can explain it to other. So what my intention was, among 25 independent variables, I plan to get an some as lower number as possible, and it should not be too low, but yes, it should be the number like with some 5 to between 6 to 10. I plan to take those number which are too much important, so that it can explain the pricing of a car in a complete manner. So this uh, removal of other variables which are not so important, that was taken care by step AAC, step AAC function in R. So step AAC, what it does is It takes care of step down regression and step regression, like it has step down regression, step up regression, and we can do both the regressions at a stretch. So what step down regression does is, uh, it takes all the variables in the model, and it builds a true model to that. And whatever whichever variables are not important, and that importance is checked by its p value and the r square value as well, the adjusted r square as well. Here one more important factor is to consider r square and adjusted r square, because when we deal with simple means only one independent and one dependent variable, there we look at r square. And when we have multiple independent variables, then we should look at adjusted r square as r square, while addition, if we are adding multiple independent variables, it gets raised by disproportionately increases. But in case of adjusted r square, it doesn't. So we should look at our adjusted r square in multiple linear regression. So the not important variables has to be checked at each individual model building stages, and the consecutive non-independent variables should be removed from the model. And ultimately we'll get a model which is good enough, uh, which has a good r square value, and it should be statistically significant also. So, and this model evaluation can be done by uh, the adjusted r square value. If our train and test data, the correlation between them is good enough, so then we will conclude it as a good model. And this was my experience with linear regression assignment, and it was very much challenging, and it was one of my favorite uh, assignment also. Thank you.